Hell yeah. I'm on a hot streak.
Your vitals do not indicate a temperature problem. Do you wish for me to investigate this hot streak sensation further?
Funny, BT. You're funny.
Apparently.
I'm gonna say something that many reasonable people on the internet try to avoid saying whenever trying to say if something is good or not. And that is, without any sort of apology or excuse to whatever flaw or nitpick someone could point out, that Titanfall 2 is the greatest mech game that has ever been made.
BT?
It was released in 2016, and since then, there is not a single mech game that comes close to being on its level. Yes, that includes whatever mech game you may be currently thinking about in the back of your head as you're watching this video. That's not to say that you're wrong for having enjoyed or even loved playing another mech game. You can still play those other ones, and no one will take them away from you. I'm just here to tell you that this work of art, this masterpiece, is the very definition of perfection. Titanfall 2 is a game where the combat feels like there's just no possible way it could be any better. The controls just feel right. When you move in your Titan, you feel heavy, bulky, powerful, like an actual Titan. And yet, you can still move around with relative ease. The weapons, all of them, have a certain feel or punch to them. And then there's the infantry combat that is faster, more fluid, and is just as good. Another mech game would have seen infantry combat as an afterthought, but not here. Infantry combat serves as one of Titanfall 2's key pillars, and it does this without taking away from the mech-based warfare. It instead adds to it. The two styles complement one another in a way that makes them blend in perfectly together. The designs for each of the levels are also so well thought out, and I will dare say that no other mech game has levels that come remotely close to this. So many other mech games don't even have levels, but simple arenas with a few building assets scattered around. In Titanfall 2, each level is its own unique environment that serves as playgrounds for the player to move around in different ways, and allowing you the freedom to move and attack however you want. There's even one level in the game that deserves its own award for best level in a game. Not just in a mech game, but in any game, regardless of genre. A lesser game would have taken this one level and stretched it out to be its own game. Titanfall 2, on the other hand, said, enjoy this level for all it's worth, because once we're done, we're moving on. Just imagine the amount of confidence it must have taken for the developers at Respawn Entertainment to make this one and done mission. It's not even the final mission in the game. The balls on these people who made this game. They seriously could have pitched that one mission as its own game. And then there's the story. Most other mech games would either give you very little story, or retold a storyline from an existing anime, or a convoluted geopolitical mess with acronym named countries and companies no one really cares for, and that you really won't remember. And a few are okay. I'm not saying it's all other mech games. And while you likely won't remember the names of the sides fighting in your first playthrough, you will remember the story, because the story really isn't about some interplanetary war. Yes, there is a war going on, and serves as the reason to point and shoot, but it instead focuses on the relationship between the pilot and their Titan, the relationship between the player and BT.
Got you.
The story starts off with you playing as Jack, who is only a rifleman in the beginning. Early on, your side gets caught in an ambush and suffers heavy casualties. Right as it seems like you're about to kick the bucket, you're saved by a Vanguard-class Titan named BT-7274. Things still go a little more south from there. And after the original pilot suffers some mortal injury, ownership of BT gets passed on to you. From there, the story becomes a personal one, and even almost emotional at times. After playing alongside BT for a few missions, it's hard not to feel a connection. It feels like this is your Titan. Although there are many like it, this one is yours.
Protocol 1. Link to pilot. Establishing neural link. Neural link established. Rifleman Jack Cooper, you are now confirmed as acting pilot of BT-7274. Protocol 2. Uphold the mission.
There are also several villains who serve as bosses at the end of most of the missions. Even though they don't have a lot of screen time, they surprisingly make it work with what little time they have. As you play through the missions, you'll hear them over the radio and get a good idea of what they're like. Some are ruthless and psychotic, while others are just in it for the money. And even though the game is only about 6 hours long, which I'm aware may seem as a negative to some, I'm telling you that that's 6 hours of non-stop fun. It's all killer and no filler. It's not a game that makes you wait hours before it gets good. No, Titanfall 2 respects your time and hits the ground running, and will even throw you in the air to make sure you have fun. It even has PvP and PvE multiplayer if you want more. So then, if all that I've said is true, why can't we get more like this? Why not a Titanfall 3? Well, it's no secret by now that EA pretty much clipped Titanfall 2's wings at launch by releasing it in between two major game releases that were always going to draw attention away from it. Titanfall 2 was also a sequel. Notice how almost no one ever really mentions Titanfall 1. That's because the first one didn't have a single player campaign. Along with it only being available for Xbox and Windows, it was multiplayer only, and it wasn't a free-to-play live service game. So, when the sequel was released, it's likely that some thought it would be more of the same. But, in the end, I still feel it comes back to EA. Titanfall 2 sold well enough. It sold an estimated 4 million units by January of 2017. Unfortunately, it's EA we're talking about here. Much like Activision and other large publishers, if a game doesn't make mountains of cash, then it's considered a disappointment. So, even though Titanfall 2 has now sold around 8 million units since release, the numbers range differently depending on the source, so I'm being conservative here. EA wanted it to sell around 9 to 10 million in its first year alone. At the same time, and I understand this might be a hot take here, but I don't think we really need a Titanfall 3. Titanfall 2 is already perfect. It's like a greatest hits compilation. How do you improve on perfection? Even if by some miracle we did get another one, the creative driving force behind Titanfall is no longer with Respawn Entertainment, and sadly, no longer with us. Vince Zampella, the founder of Respawn Entertainment, as well as one of the founders of Call of Duty, unfortunately lost his life in December 2025. If you're not familiar with Vince Zampella, you've most definitely heard of the games he's been a part of. He helped to put Medal of Honor on the map in the early 2000s, co-founded the Call of Duty franchise, led Respawn Entertainment to make Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor, Apex Legends, and obviously Titanfall. My favorite story of him was learning how he managed to commission the creation of a real-life 50-foot Titan during the launch of Titanfall. He negotiated a clause in his contract with EA that he would get $2 million for promoting the game however he wanted. When EA told him that they would not build him a real-life 50-foot tall Titan, Vince reminded them of what it said in his contract. So, in the end, he got his real-life Titan. Well, actually, that may be my second favorite story, now that I think about it. My actual favorite might be the time he sued Activision for wrongful termination. While I have mixed feelings about somehow getting another Titanfall, if by some miracle anyways, I do hope that future developers take inspiration from Titanfall 2. Titanfall is a mech game, but it does not feel like it. When the people at Respawn Entertainment set out to make this game, I don't think they thought of themselves as making some niche game. Instead, they set out to make a great and fun game. They show what kind of game you could make if you take ideas and inspiration, not just from other mech games, but from other genres as well. Which is why Titanfall 2 is also a first-person shooter and a platformer. And they also showed that a mech game can also tell a personal story.
Negative. We are trapped.
What are you doing?
Protocol 3. I will not lose another pilot. Brace for impact.
Anyway, what's the point to Titanfall 2? Is it still worth playing in 2026? If you're uncertain of my answer, then you clearly haven't been paying attention. Titanfall 2 deserves to be celebrated. It's not just a great mech game, it's just a great game overall. The game tends to sell for around $30 US now, but also goes on sale fairly regularly, and for as low as $5 US. It's also available on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox. Even still, I will proudly say that Titanfall 2 is still a full-price game, even after all these years. If you've ever wondered what a good or even great mech game looks like, then look no further. There are some good mech games out there, but if there's one mech game that you should play before you die, it's Titanfall 2. Trust me.